Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. So, as Madam told you, we will be talking about people pleasing, and we'll try to cover up the entire topic, inshallah. So, starting with the introduction, Madam, I'll say next, and then you can change the slides. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, please next. So we will be discussing about what people pleasing is and why it happens, why you should stop doing it, and how to stop it. And then we are gonna do an interactive session in which we are going to explain more about it using examples, and of course take feedback from you guys also. So next. So over to Zakiya now.
Hello, everybody. I hope everybody's doing fine. So we've all gathered over here today to know about what people pleasing is. It is a very important topic. I see a lot of people in my practice who fail to understand that they are people pleasing and they would call themselves to be kind and compassionate people, which is true. But there's a lot more beneath what is happening than just being compassionate and kind-hearted people. So people are constantly devoting themselves to meeting the needs of others, where they start compromising their own needs, which is leading us to self-sacrifice, sabotaging our mental health, and even physical health, I'd say. I've seen a lot of people in my practice who are physically sick and mentally sick, and they are so good that they don't understand. It's all because they are devoting so much of themselves to others and on the price of their own mental health and physical health. So we're here today, and we are going to dig deep into what people pleasing is. The next slide, please. Okay, so I want you guys to read these points and tell me if you relate to any of these. You can just write it down in the chats. Okay, so because I'm not getting a response, I believe there are a lot of people who probably do relate to a lot of these points that we are doing, yes? And if you find yourself saying yes to one or more, we need to understand that we over here are people pleasing. We over here are doing something that's not okay for us to do. If we find it really hard to say no to a request, if we are overcommitted with our plans, yet we take on responsibilities of other plans, or if someone comes up to us and says, please, you can handle me, if you can handle this one more situation, or if you can take care of my kid for a day because I have something else. If you let down your own needs and take up someone else's plan to help them. I'm sorry?
That was a mistake, I think. If you can keep your mic mute, please. Jazakallah khairan.
Okay. So if we feel pressured to be friendly, nice, or cheerful all the time. Now, we are humans, yes. Humans have a set of emotions. We cannot always have this pleasant looking face where we're always just having one emotion all the time, which is happiness and being cheerful. No, we're humans. We have certain okay, so we have certain rules our body is asking us to do. Yeah. So when we feel the need to always have a happy face, again, that's a big red flag. When we avoid disagreeing with people around us and we are scared to share our personal opinions with people. When we feel ourselves being in a situation where people around us are always taking advantages. This is something that I hear a lot in my practice where people come and say, I'm so good that people always take advantage of me. Yes, I understand. I hear you when you say that. And when we always are loaded with extra work and we do not have time for ourselves. Now, if we are stuck in one or more of these points that I have raised, it means we are going through something called as people pleasing. Next slide, please. So, who is a people pleaser? A people pleaser, a person who has emotional needs to please others, often at the expense of his or her own needs or desires. So what happens over here is that we always have to have our happy face. We always have to see that how people think about us. If I walk in to my friend's house and I know that she doesn't like a certain kind of a wear that I like to dress up in, and I, just to help her feel good, I change my entire wardrobe and wear something that she likes. Now, what I am doing is I am much more bothered about what she feels and how she is comfortable rather than what I am comfortable in, rather than what I feel the need is for me to dress up in. So people want to feel loved. There, no doubt, we humans, we are made such that it is important for us to feel loved and appreciated. And it is very important that we get validation from close relationships next and around us. This is a typical human nature, okay? But there's a point where we have to understand, where we have to draw that, okay, this is it, how much validation is needed for me. Once we cross that line, it turns into a people-pleasing attitude. It turns into a people-pleasing feeling where we are much more concerned about what people around us think. So as a result, occasionally people adapt to the behaviors to make their social interactions smoother, and they become into a people pleaser interactive person. What does that mean? So a people pleaser would always have a very pleasant way of saying things. He would always, now we have to understand that when I say a pleasant way of saying, it's always a yes. Yeah, we can say a no in a pleasant way. That is not people pleasing. But when we always have a very positive attitude and we, for everything thrown on us is a yes, is when we have to realize it's a people pleasing attitude. So people pleasers try to nourish everybody around them. Every soul around them is nourished and they feel fulfilled. But sadly, the people pleaser himself is malnourished. He feels depleted. He's mentally exhausted. He's tired. And he's often the person who is misunderstood a lot in spite of all that he does. So people pleaser have this urge to make people feel more important than they themselves are. Sadly, they cover up how really they feel. So nobody actually understands what they feel, which turns into a manipulative attitude because nobody knows how I am feeling actually, what I am doing. For me, all the favors that I'm doing is okay for me. But internally, I am hurt. Internally, I am not fulfilled. Internally, I am depreciating my own sense, my own, I have nothing else left. There comes a point in a people pleaser's life where he has lost his identity. He doesn't know who he is eventually. And he has so much of work that he doesn't even have the time to understand what's happening to him. It's only when things are lost, it's then they get up and they try to find what went wrong. I mean, I was a good person. I did everything I could. I pleased everybody. Then what's happening inside of me? Why do I feel this emptiness, then this loneliness inside me? Why? And if you ask people around him, a lot of people might say he's such a sweet, naive soul. But internally, he doesn't feel like that. Internally, he's so broken. Internally, he's just burnt out and he's feeling depleted. Why does this happen? It happens because our worth depends on what people around us feel about us. People pleasers need validation from people around them rather than themselves. They could go to any extreme for few validative, good, kind words for them. Can I have the next slide, please? So how do we get into this people pleaser mode? A lot of times, a lot of clients come to me telling, once they understand the whole concept of what people pleasing is, the first question is this my personality flaw? Well, no. Can I have the next slide? It's not your personality flaw. There's nothing wrong with your personality. It's simply a trauma response. It's simply what you have grown up seeing. It's simply what people around you have asked you to do when you were growing up. It is a it is a response to trauma and stress that can develop into being one of the most primary ways a person deals with challenges. In this way, people pleasing may look like who you are, but it's something you've learned to do while growing up. As children, we've always been asked to sit right, to smile right, never to misbehave, never to say no to adults, listen to your teacher, listen to what Papa is saying, do this. We always tell them what to do, what not to do. What if they do this? How are the people going to react to what they say? What if they fail? What is the class going to think? What is the teacher going to think? And this slowly and sadly develops into a people-pleasing attitude, where people, kids, young adults, start thinking much more about what others are going to think about rather than what they actually feel. So people-pleaser behavior is motivated with insecurity, a lot of insecurity, because they do not feel good enough about themselves. They lack the validations from them. They don't feel it. They have been told so much to do what others think that they lose the ability to understand what's happening inside or what they want to do. And low self-esteem, again, caused by the trauma bond in childhood. When children are emotionally neglected, they unconsciously abandon their sense of self in order to maintain their relationship with the caretaker. Now, this is a very crucial, important point. Growing up, it is natural for every child to people please their parents. We do not have to confuse that with the people pleasing attitude. Every child is made to help their, not help, I would say, every child is made so that they please their parents, and that's completely normal. But there comes a time where we start overburdening them that, you have to please everyone every time around, including me as a mom. If my child keeps coming to me and says, Mama, I can't do this. No, beta, you have to do it. You have to. There is no choice. You have to, because Dada likes it this way. Uncle likes it this way. And that's how we start burdening our child. Your child is pleasing you. This is a natural way of children to please us. But once we start burdening them with our expectations, they turn into people pleaser, where they feel they have the load to maintain this relationship so that we don't abandon them. And that's how they turn into people pleasers. Now, we're understanding how hard it is for children and for young adults. People pleaser usually turn into people pleaser after a certain age. By 8 or 9, they start the tendency to feel the burden of what the caretaker is asking them to do. Till that age, it's a very natural thing for them to please your parents or please people around us, which is okay, again, I'm telling you. But after a certain level of pressure that they get around people, they start this tendency where they start leaving themselves behind, where they have no sound of what they need. Rather, they have a sound of what people around them are asking them to do. So we have to be very careful with young adults and with ourselves. Next slide, please. Okay. Why is people pleasing unhealthy? So a lot of people have the potential for numerous negative consequences when we are in this pattern of self-sabotage where we are people-pleasing. Yes. What we experience is, have you ever felt that, a rejection is really hard for us to take it? If a small thing, like I would tell you something about myself when I was, I remember when I was really young, I was rejected for a small, um, in a sports activity. I was rejected for something. I don't remember what it was, but I remember that pain. It was so clear, and it is so clear that I was rejected for it. I mean, and I'm talking about when I was in my first year of university, probably. And it was so hurt. It just pierced my heart. And now when I think about it, I understand what was actually happening because I was so engrossed in pleasing everyone that rejection felt like I'm a failure. Like, I mean, I'm doing everything that everyone tells me, then why would people still reject me? When we are scared of disappointing people, I mean, this is a big one. We are scared of disappointing our husbands or wives. We are scared of disappointing our in-laws, our friends, our parents. Think about it. How scared are we when we have to say no to a person? I mean, at the cost of our own mental health, physical health. It is so hard for us to say no. No, I can't do this right now because I have my own stuff. Have you gone through this? Have you had the guts to say this to people around you? It's hard. Why? Again, because we are so engrossed in people pleasing. When we have low self-esteem. Now, I hear a lot of my clients talking about themselves. They do not feel good enough. I mean, when you ask them, they are excelling in everything they're doing. They're amazing parents. They are good at work. They are good kids themselves to their parents. And why this fear of not being good enough, of not feeling um, adequate enough for the people around us? Difficulty making independent decisions. Again, this is a big one. There are so many people around us, they cannot take the smallest decision. It is so hard for a person to take anything. Like, I like this dress and I like this dress. I don't know. I mean, let me call my mother or let me call my husband and ask him. Do you find yourself in these decisions sometimes? Well, it is because we need approval. We're seeking for approval. It's because we do not believe in our own decision. And so we need someone else to take the small little decision in our lives to make us feel that we are on the right path. And this is the biggest one, difficulty setting healthy boundaries. Now, boundaries is something that I love talking about. I can go on and on and on about boundaries. Boundaries makes us a whole person. It shows people how important it is for us to take care of ourselves. Boundaries is something that our kids need to learn. We need to learn. This helps us from so much of hurt in the future and in the present. Again, people pleasing is when we are following people pleasing, it's very hard for us to set a clear boundary. Be it whoever, your husband, your in-laws, your friends, or your kids, we fail to understand that we need space. We cannot overcommit ourselves. We need to stop somewhere because it's not okay for us to spread thin anymore. Next slide, please. So we have been talking a lot about the dark side of people pleasing. I did not want to be so dark. So I'm going to spread some light. People pleasers are, okay. Wait, I got confused with the slide. Why should you stop? Okay.
I think this is my slide. I think it's starting from here. So
yes,
you can talk about this. I think we forgot to
but that
include
slide,
that slide.
yes.
Yeah, it's okay. You can speak about it, then we're gonna continue with my part.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm going to spread a lot of light right now about people pleasers. I used to be a big people pleaser. Well, at times I do find myself in that situation. And what I can say is it's okay. It's okay. It's gonna take us time. It's not that bad. I mean, people pleasers are the best people you can come across. They have the most kindest hearts. They are the most compassionate people. They're naturally empaths. What does that mean? It means that they understand the pain of another person. They understand if you're sad. They understand that you are incapable of doing something. That's why you're asking them for help. And they are, if you have a people pleaser in your life, just help that person to come out of it, because once that person comes out of this people pleasing attitude, you would find a diamond. The person is so compassionate, so loving, so much of giving that you probably don't need anyone else in your life. So yes, that's all I have to say. I'm giving over to Yousra. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Zakiya. So, Manam, can you please put that picture that I sent you?
Can everybody see it?
No, we cannot.
You cannot?
No, I cannot see it.
I think you have to click share screen and new share.
Oh, thank you, Aisha.
Thanks, Aisha.
So stop sharing and then again I have to share?
No. Just click on new share.
New share, okay. Yep. Got that. Now?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay.
Thank you so
for
much.
your help, Aisha. Okay.
So I'm sure by now you all have a good idea about what people pleasing is and you know where it's coming from. So but I don't want you all to think that we are suggesting that it's help nobody and you know just look at yourself only. It's not that we are suggesting. So it's a balance actually that we have to maintain. So can you see this circle in front of you? So this is basically what a people pleaser looks like. Okay, from outside, a people pleaser is reliable, motivated, helpful, organized, loyal, polite, generous, and you know all these good qualities. I think which makes a human being a very good person. So this is what we call a good person. That's what Zakiya was saying, that people pleasers are like amazing people, and they're amazing friends. But the sad part is what's going inside of them. So you can see inside of this circle, there are all the negative things: self-critical, lost, disconnected, resentful, burnout, lonely, anxious. These are not good things. These are very difficult things to bear. So what do you think, like when you see this circle, what comes to your mind? Do you think it's okay to be a people pleaser with the outside like this and the inside like that? Do you think it's okay for a person to be like that? Just a quick
I think it
response.
comes with the territory. If you would like, I think some people feel content that they've contributed to someone's, like to help someone out, so you feel content. But I think it's more about the duration of how long a person stays that way. That
Yeah,
has
and
more than
and it's also about it's not always about how much he's or she is giving. It's also about how much he or she is receiving. Because in order to solve the circle inside, the inside circle, we should be receiving something as well. Because there's only a limit to how much you can give, right?
So I just want to add like something to that, just a tiny little thing.
Sure. Yeah,
Is,
sure.
When I speak to my therapist sometimes about this thing, because I identify as a people pleaser, she says that all of our relationships serve us in some way. And so, like you said, getting something back, it's and then we feel that we don't want to identify somebody who's wanting something out of a relationship. So so that just adds to the guilt.
Right. Yeah, right. So actually what happens is that we have confused being truly to service for others, which comes from self-motivation, to the people-pleasing behavior, which comes from fear motivation. That's what Zakiya mentioned, that we are always fearful while pleasing people, that she's gonna think that about me, maybe I'm not gonna get enough love. If I'll not do this for my husband, he's not gonna love me anymore. If I don't do this for my mother-in-law, she's gonna talk bad about me to some people. So we always have a fear inside of our mind. If you think about it, like if you just sit and think about, you know, if you want to differentiate when you're people pleasing and when you're actually trying to help someone, you will feel this difference in your heart. So it all comes from the purity, like how much intentions, I'm not like non-intentions, but how much genuine you are actually in serving that person. Is it coming from your self-motivation, or it's coming from, you know, from the fear of losing or not getting enough love? So when we are stuck in the people-pleasing behavior, we shut down our gut instincts. Like we stop thinking about ourselves. We shut down our emotions, our values, because we want secure love from others, rather than being an individual and a person who can think for ourselves. So this is what we are seeking, basically. And interestingly, like it's quite interesting for me that people pleasers, they actually attract or are drawn towards relationships that are controlling. So this makes them feel safe. If they see that relationship is controlling, it makes them feel safe. And even in they can they can get themselves into abusive relationships also, because they lack boundaries. So it's very easy for the abuser or the person who is not like okay, or maybe he's toxic. So it's like easy for them to abuse a person, because they know that this person doesn't have enough boundaries. So they internalize the idea that love is earned and it is not given for free. So if they are like they have to earn the love, this is what people pleasers think, that they then in order to like the love that they're getting without doing any sacrifices, they don't think of it as secure love. They only think that the love that they get after sacrificing or after being a people pleaser, that is only the love that is secure. So can you please change the slide, Manal? Thank you. Next.
I guess new share again.
Oh yeah, sorry. Sorry about that. We actually totally forgot to include this.
No, that's fine. Thanks.
Yeah, in the slide. So yeah. So now these are some points. I think there are 6. So, but there are so many reasons. So I just included 6. So why we should stop people pleasing? So number 1 is people will take you for granted, of course, because they know that you are never going to say no. You're always going to be available for them. So you will be obviously taken for granted. And you will be used and abused. You will feel that way. And you will be always giving but not receiving. You will miss out on opportunities because when you are spending so much of your time pleasing others, doing things for others, of course you're gonna miss out on your like opportunities. For example, if you have like set aside a few hours per day to do some of your work, but that is consumed by other people, like they want you for something and you cannot say no. So you are basically missing out on your opportunities. You're not spending time enough on yourself to excel. And the 5th one is that you will never be respected. That is like you will be mostly treated like a doormat. So like doormat feeling, it's not nice, because what you do with the doormat, you just rub your shoes off, take the gunk off, and then you move on, right? On the nice clean floor. Do you ever look back at the doormat? We don't, right? We just leave our shoes there and move inside. So when you are always there, always, you know, pleasing people, they're because they're taking you for granted, they are likely never going to respect you. And of course, you're going to feel exhausted because of all the giving and not receiving. Because this is what, like, if your cup is not getting full, if you're not getting your needs met and you're just giving, then it's very hard for you to feel the balance, and you're eventually going to get very exhausted in the end. So next, please. Okay, so now with all the talking about people pleasing, and also I think most of you will be thinking what to do about it, how we're going to solve this problem. So how to stop? I suggest that you start small, because it's really hard, because I have been there at that place, and I know, I understand how hard it is to just suddenly start saying no and suddenly taking care of yourself, because obviously people around you, they're used to you being you, right? They know that this person she's going to be available for me no matter what. So it's a shock for them as well, and it's difficult for you. So I suggest that you start small. And by starting small, I mean like starting with the relationships that are easier. So for example, your kids and your friends. It depends, like, which relationships are easier for you. For some, it might be difficult to set boundaries or say no, or start small with their husband or their in-laws. So what I suggest is that you go slowly, and then you gonna achieve the higher higher levels of it. So then the next one is you should practice saying no. So, and it, as like I said before, you should start small, practice saying no whenever you think you're not available for someone. And then you assess the situation before saying no. So for example, like you are someone is asking you to go with them somewhere, and at that time it's your time to work on something that you've been planning. So before saying yes, you should assess your situation. Am I able to do it for this person? Like, am I available at that time? So please think about it before making any promises. And number 4 is remove toxic people from life, because with all these things, whether it's boundary setting, whether it's saying no, or whether it's stop people pleasing, if you are dealing with people who are toxic, who are narcissist, it's very difficult to do such things with these people, because they don't understand. So it's like I'm giving a disclaimer over here that such people, it's difficult to, and like almost impossible to build boundaries and say no to people who are narcissist or toxic. So better to remove them from your life. So now I know a lot of questions will be arising in your mind that we cannot obviously cut out people from our life, like, because we have some very important relationships also who could be toxic or narcissist. So inshallah, we'll talk about this in our coming lectures too in depth, but for now I'm just gonna keep it here. So stop apologizing unnecessarily. Now this is something that we all do since childhood, because like, even if it's not our mistake, or even if it's something that's okay, we tend to say sorry a lot. Like, sorry, sorry. Like every other thing is we are saying, doing is like, sorry, I did this, sorry, I did. So please resist this urge to say sorry when it's not your mistake, okay? And of course, set boundaries and be kind to yourself. This is, I think, the most important one, being kind to yourself, because when you are kind to yourself, it gives you so much compassion in your heart that when you're giving it to someone else, it is pure, it's genuine. So this is really important, because when you're people pleasing, basically, which I told you is fear motivated, it is not genuine. It is not coming from your heart. So when you're being kind to yourself, the kindness that you give to others, it's so pure and it's so genuine, and it comes with so much compassion that like, you feel happy that you're giving it to others, rather than feeling burdened, or rather than feeling resentment inside your heart. Okay, next, please. Okay, so now I was thinking that we are going to do some examples and solution, and both Zakiya and me, we want you all to participate and, give us situations and then we're going to answer them. So I was thinking, because of privacy reasons, if we could stop the recording here, and so that people are more comfortable sharing
Sure.
examples with us. Yeah.